Hey everybody, it is Gordon Majak here, back with another episode of Timeless Pop, Rock, and Soul. And most importantly of all, back with the final part 5 of our 5-part special happy birthday tribute to the great Peter Cetera, one of my personal faves, as you know. We had 4 videos so far, a little Living in the Limelight from Peter's solo career. We did Call on Me by Chicago. I Wasn't the One Who Said Goodbye, which was Peter's duet with Agneta Faltskog of ABBA. Last time around, we had a live version of If You Leave Me Now from a Chicago show, a Chicago concert, back in 1978. And right now, we are going to wrap up the birthday celebration for Peter Cetera by going back to hello now, come on now. Back to 1992. And this is, as I've said before, I think Peter Cetera's best solo album. This is a record called World Falling Down. And we are going to hear the last time Peter Cetera reached the top spot, #1 on the adult contemporary chart. That was a song called Restless Heart, a Peter Cetera classic, and it may have been the last time he hit the top, but so many great performances in Peter Cetera's career, so many great songs, so many great vocals, the bass lines back in the old Chicago days. It just goes on and on and on. But I know this was a personal favorite of Peter's as well. He always did this one in concert on his solo shows. So let's go back to 1992 and Peter Cetera's World Falling Down album. And we are going to hear, this was it, man. This was his last shot at the top back there in 1992, and certainly a worthy song to hit the top spot. For Peter Cetera, it is Restless Heart. Pretty fresh sound for Peter Cetera back there in 1992, I'd say, coming out of Chicago. And this is 7 or 8 years later. This is a pretty nice radio-friendly pop rock nugget, I would say, in the career of Peter Cetera. A nice passionate vocal like you always get, and a good rockin' track. What's not to love about this one? 1992. He sounded great. He sounded fantastic. Are you kidding? One you filled with emotion right from the start. Peter Cetera, him and his Restless Heart. 1992, that's the best solo album for Peter. Definitely the one to get if you only want to get one. Pick up World Falling Down. You can't go wrong with that album. I know Peter was going through a lot of personal changes back then in 1992 in his marriage and divorce and situations like that. And so a lot of personal emotion to draw on for those songs, and perhaps that's why that is a pretty special collection to me. The World Falling Down album, Peter Cetera, Restless Heart, and what a career, man, for Peter Cetera. I was just looking at some of these pictures that I was showing you guys and thinking about how long I have loved this guy and how far back we go. It's just unbelievable back there to the early 70s with me in Chicago and Peter Cetera. And loved that guy from the start. Loved all those incredible bass lines. As I said, with Chicago, Peter's such an underrated and such a great bassist back in the day. And those vocals, man, what a singer. One of the best that you will ever hear. And that's why I always say, man, Peter and Barry Gibb are up there in the VIP section at a very small table together. I don't know if there's anybody else there with them at that particular table. I might have to think about that. But man, it is pretty select company in my book for Peter Cetera. What a career. What an influence on me personally. At first Chicago concert that I ever went to in 1975, I think I would have been, 17. And I had always, my entire life, wanted to be a drummer. I wanted to be a drummer from the time I was a little kid. Every year at Christmas, I asked my parents for a drum set. They would never buy me a drum set. Then when I discovered Danny Serafin with Chicago, forget it. I have to be a drummer. I love Danny. He was my favorite drummer back there in the day when I was younger. And I wanted to be a drummer so bad. And I went to that first Chicago concert of mine there in 1975 on that Chicago 8 tour, thinking I want to be a drummer and I'm going to see my favorite drummer, Danny Serafin, in concert with Chicago. And I positioned myself right in front of Dan Serafin at the show there on stage. And man, I'll tell you, it was about 2 minutes into the show when I kept looking over at Peter Cetera going, what in the heck, man, that dude is rocking that bass over there and singing his ass off. And I just gradually sort of shifted over. Nothing personal about Danny, because I love Danny, and Danny's an incredible drummer. And of course, he was just on fire in those days. Well, he always has been, but Danny was incredible during the show, and so was Terry Kath, and so was the whole band. But I just found myself sort of gravitating over there in front of Peter Cetera, nice and close to the stage, and watching him and studying what he was doing on the bass and with his vocals. And that was it. By the time I went home after that show, forget the drums. I want to be a bass player, man. I want to rock that bass like Peter Cetera did back there in the day. And what do you know? Next thing you know, I bought a bass, right? It didn't turn out. I didn't become a professional bass player, of course. But yeah, Peter Cetera was the inspiration to pick it up and get started in the first place. What a performer and what a songwriter, the bass playing, the vocals, he's produced. I mean, what else do you want a guy to do? How many awards has he won? Grammys, best vocal performances, all kinds of stuff. #1 records, check. Done just about all of it. And most happy, I would say, I am most happy that Peter Cetera got to retire on his own terms. And by leaving Chicago as he did back there when he did, he really wrote his own ticket, being able to live his life, the rest of his life, the way he wanted to on his own terms. And man, isn't that what we all are striving to do? And Peter did it. So a very happy, very sincere birthday wish for the great Peter Cetera, turning 78 today. One of my all-time faves. I hope you guys enjoyed my little 5-part, I almost said 10, but it's 5-part, Peter Cetera happy birthday tribute today. We'll be back with our regularly scheduled programming tomorrow. But I had to take some time out to pay homage to one of my favorites, man, Peter Cetera. And there you have it, folks. I will see you tomorrow. Live long and prosper, Mr. Cetera. And I told you guys what a great dude he was as well after the fact, man. What a guy. A prince of a gentleman. Thanks, Peter. You're the best, man.